Almost half of the year have passed since last vid at this channel. Maybe it's a perfect time to make another one. Hello there, this is Nico from Apocalyptica channel, one-man army, creator of Apocalyptica wargame system, D&D 5e Dungeon Master and creator of 2D papercraft miniatures for home printing and personal use in RPG or wargames alike. My Patreon page consists of more than 1,000 unique and, what is important, double-sided models. You can try some of my miniatures for free, just sort out my Patreon page to public posts and download a PDF with 4 colors to choose from. Last 2 years I was making mostly D&D style related miniatures targeted for roleplay, but small imp in my head keep reminding me that long time before I was a wargamer. You must understand me. I really like to be a dungeon master, but this role did not change my passion to wargame in general. I can say more couple of times I was making a massive combat in D&D, and for me it was a pure joy. If you interested how I'm monitored health in more than 100 miniatures at the same table, just say me it into the comments. Make this old man a pleasure. One of the reasons why for me difficult creating new videos here are that all about fantasy and wargaming in general was being told, well, for English-speaking community especially. Another deal are Ukrainian community here almost to none fantasy lore or game mechanics in general was being told. Yes, for some of you who didn't know, I have a Ukrainian-speaking channel with massive 400 subs. At least it's better than 9, you know. So for me as to be an original, I go extra mile and create a new wargame system and will slowly begin to talk about it here. What a system, you may ask? It's called Apocalyptica. It's a D12 based wargame with squad by squad activation. It has been in alpha turmoil since 2013 and revived a year ago, and to put it correctly, still in rough state, so it's basically still not fully functional at the point of recording this video. But enough bad talks. Today I will tell you, my dear viewer, about my ultimate and extra revolutionized idea of dismounting mechanic. Just imagine a squad of good old knight lads, they stomping peasants on the hoofs of their horses. They wear a beautiful shining armor. Life is good. Well, and then you die from arrow storm. Or worse, you dragged from the horse and show a knife under your gorget. It's so unfortunate that you cannot dismount from your horse with your lads and form a line. But wait, your enemy just do like that. This is so unchivalrous. Blah. Yes, dismounting mechanic invented not by me. Even in Dark Ages, some Anglo-Norman knights fight in dismounted position against Franks and Scots. King Henry Beauclerc achieved so much victories with this tactic, and you must have an option: kill all enemies who you can reach at horseback, then dismount and kill all cowards who hide by barricade. Kill them all! Of course, this is just an option and you must carefully make this move, or just enlist footman soldiers in the first place. Dismounting mechanic was planned in my head in advance. In future I want made semi-RP games where players will not be just some single adventurers, but a noble lords or war chiefs who can lead an army. And in roleplays you can find much more opportunities than in simple field slaughter. There is so much good things in the future. If you will begin support this channel, of course, I will tell you a small secret. my test players still didn't know that I am planning role-play war game and think that my dismounting mechanics is stupid. But you are all good lads, so I will be not tease you further and begin to talk about main subject of this video. Creating an elven army. So why elves as a first army, you may ask? In most of the cases, first army must be basic and at least two armies must be. As a reminder, I am one-man army and cannot afford leave my Patreons for a couple of months. Humans as a first army might be boring and can lead to cold response of lack of imagination. And to be honest, I just want to make very unhistoric and vibrant mounts, and tree-loving nature of elves can be very useful for better army style. Who knows? Hear me right, when I am inevitably begin creating army of humans, I will make an exotic mounts for them too. I like an idea of a knight mounted on demigryph. It has a potential to be a very powerful unit with a huge price tag. Lovely. But when I begin my thinking process about elves, another ideas came to my mind. I want to make a cheap variant for elven horse archers. To make it all reasonable, mount will be slower and cannot help rider in battle. This is how idea of big chicken mount was born. Chickens are maybe twice of the weight of rider, so you cannot effectively make a knight of them because they just bounce off a shield wall. But the chicken, if it will be slower, still faster than footmen. So basically, big chicken is just a cheap upgrade which force a player to use them interchangeably between mounted and dismounted archery. With this type of unit, player can clear off some enemy unit or paralyze any enemy in advance, and in some critical moment dismount and take cover inside a barricade. Of course, from some builds you need to have a full speed mounted archer, so it will be include a normal horse or maybe some much more faster. Why not? But all of this needed tests and your attention to the subject. I cannot see everything, so please consider sharing my videos between friends or maybe in some clubs who like war games. Okay, with big chicken much more understandable. Now let's talk about the much more powerful unit. How I see a dismounting at this point. Mounted unit, when declares that he dismounting, changes models on mounts places to models without mounts. But where all horses or chickens will go? Oh, it's simple, they just gone forever, or at least to the end of battle. Mounts are just run away and cannot be take a part of effective war force. This was made because it probably what happening in real single combat. When dismounted unit engage in combat, he cannot afford to have a mount on a row rear by it, but some units are able to split when dismounting. Let me introduce to you Elven cuirassier on pumas. Pumas are predators and they deal additional damage when they're in charge range, and when their riders are dismounted they didn't lost a war potential. There are only one problem: they are animals and need to be led. So when Elven cuirassiers make a split, with pumas you leave sergeant, who now became a pack leader and can wage war independently without dismounted cuirassiers. That split means that footed cuirassiers left without a sergeant. Is that a bad thing for Apocryptica? Well, sergeants in army have a couple key things. First of all, they modular and have a higher intellect, which in Apocryptica means for non-casters that a unit have a better chances for disengage from a melee combat, for example. But the most important thing about Sergeant that through them a hero can declare a general attack, which break a typical squad by squad activation and give opportunity to activate a huge chunk of army. At the same time, units without sergeants cannot be activated. Some units cannot add a sergeants, which represents their independence in nature. But about sergeants, standard bearers and musicians I will talk in the next video, of course. How early this video will be? It depends on you and your activity. Mounted melee units in the most cases have a far-reaching weapon, spear or long sword as a cuirassier, but if we talk about riders with predator mounts who are capable dealing damage, they needed a base contact. This adds another layer of flexible attacks. Cuirassier can hit a target without locking themselves in melee, or they can do just like that and gain extra damage from their cats. Again, this is what I'm intended, but I cannot predict how it all can be exploited. So at the moment of recording of this video, 4 units was created and now I work with another pair. Mounted and dismounted units with spear. For them I will maybe go with much more conservative way, just adding some contrast. Maybe some options between make semi or non-cosmetic, just for speeding up process. For example, medium or light cavalry can be an option to replace a standard horses with fast ones. I can just make them white to represent Arabic type horses, for example, but it's all just a theory. Spear unit can be a crystal cannon or siege weapon on hoofs. If we talk about knights on full plate armor sitting on war stallions who are buffed as hell. For Elven army, at least at this point, I am targeted to fast and bitey force with comparatively low armor, but it all inevitably changes with time. You can already download a huge collections of miniatures from my Patreon page. If you play D&D, Pathfinder or another board game with miniatures, you have a huge chance to find what you need. Here you see a mighty heroes as my Patreon supporters who help me with my banner of easy and affordable wargaming. Visit my Patreon page and let your table be colorful and fun with minimum prep. And for this time, I see you all in another video really soon.